Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate when you click on any of my videos. I've got a couple different things to share with you this week, and let's see, where should we get started? Okay, I guess I will just jump right into the follow-up of the thumbnail of me using this yarn from Hinkston Handmade. I got this at a fiber event. I'm not sure which one to say off the top of my head, but it's sturdy sock yarn, 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. This colorway is called Love Letter. We said how gorgeous it is. It's got different amounts of reds here and there, kind of a deep maroon actually, and then spots of sort of black. I'm looking for that to see as well, like right in there. So this is I love the yarn. It was very nice to work with. And this pattern was one that it's in UK terms, and so I challenged myself to sit down and just translate all of the double crochets into a single crochet and go through and translate the stitches. What I didn't anticipate was maybe the different ways that we talk about stuff. So even like the only thing that I'll say like right off the bat is that normally when we do a chain 3 to be the double crochet in the next row, the first stitch of the next row, we seem to always skip that stitch that it came out of. It's kind of like a known thing. I would then call the next stitch the next stitch. When I'm working with a project that needs a stitch in that same one, I'll call it the same one. You do your chain 3 and then double crochet into the same stitch. So now that first stitch has 2 stitches in it, okay? So this pattern says next when it means that first. And so that completely threw me off. Like every step that I took, I had to recount where I was and refigure out where I was, and did the way that I translated that row, did it really come out the way it was intended to? So in addition to that, it's one of those where you do like row 1, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat rows 2, 3, 4 for another 5 times, and then do row 3, or, like one of those. And so I was kind of all over the place. I've scribbled all over my papers trying to tell myself what to do. And there's also the fact that you change hook sizes for one of the stitches. It says in the pattern that it tends to pull right there, so go up a hook, a half a hook size, or even a full hook size to make sure that that lines up. Well, I did that, and then when I went to, I'm blindly crocheting or whatever, and I happened to even pick up a different hook size at some point during the pattern. So I was in a love-hate relationship for this entire project. And I told you guys about it last week that when I started it, I thought I was misreading it or something, and so I frogged out like 6 or 7 rows at the time, and then said I was starting back with confidence. Well, it's the same thing, okay? The same thing happened. So I'm taking full responsibility for it. I'm sure it's a wonderfully clear pattern to those in the UK. Maybe just, again, the way that the terminology is. Maybe it just means something else, or you guys talk about it differently. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and link it down below. It just was not my cup of tea, and maybe it's yours. And so I almost want to challenge you to prove me wrong. I don't know. I never want to talk badly about a pattern. I know it takes a lot of work to put this out there, and it was a free pattern. So I really, really thank the creator for putting it out there for us. I just wasn't able to get it. So I still continued on. I thought the whole time, am I going to frog it? Am I going to do it? What am I going to do? Maybe it'll trust the process. Trust the process. I was trying to just, continue on, and it would work out, right? So after picking up, so it started with a 4mm hook. And then when I got to that pattern, that section of pattern, where it tells you to go up a hook size, I went up to a 4.5, and then randomly there was a 5mm sitting next to me for a different project, and I ended up picking that up and doing some stuff with that. So I really like the idea of the pattern. It comes with, I believe, 4 different stitches 1, 2, 3, 4. And you do the same grouping of, they're called, oh, what did she call them? Knots and crosses. And that's, you know, like X's and O's. And so I kind of thought that was funny because you've got little spaces and little X's in there. So, okay, so let's start at the bottom. Let's just show you how beautiful these honeycomb, this is called the honeycomb trellis, I think she does. And I see how it's like on an angle for me. I believed it was supposed to be on a bias, but then not really. So as I start going up, it clearly went askew, like, I don't know. So then, just bear with me. So then here's the section where you're doing, where you skip one and then you go to the next one and you do a double crochet and then you come back. So you're doing a crisscross is just what we call it here. So I really liked that section, and that goes throughout in between, like, so here's the first pattern and then you do these and then you do the next pattern, which is, again, I was tripping up all over myself to try to get through this part. This is where I really was like, you know what, I'm just not interested, you know. So it's these great little pyramids, but I wasn't. So then I thought it was on the bias because the end of the row and the beginning of the rows, like, they weren't doing the same thing. So I go, okay, well, maybe it is supposed to be on the bias. But I wasn't getting it. Okay, I already said that. So then I jumped to, I don't know what I did. I jumped to a next section where I was going to start doing, oh, this is a little tiny bit of the crosses again, that knots, what you call them, knots and crosses. So I go, okay, so then we're going to do, I knew at that point I wasn't going to continue the scarf, but I still wanted to show you the different patterns that she does. So then this is the knots and crosses again, only you would do like this many rows of it or more. I don't know if I even shorted it at that point. And then there's some box rows where you do a chain and then skip 4 and then single crochet, so that then you can put these boxes into these little clusters of 4. So I'm sure it was supposed to be very, very beautiful. And you can, the pattern allows you to do a scarf with it or a cowl. And I was working on the cowl. So I thought, well, maybe just when I get back around to the other side, it'll be right. But you know, I'm giving up. I'm throwing in the towel. 3 different hook sizes in one pattern is too much for me. So this is going to get frogged out. And, you know, I said in last video that I kind of had so many ideas and everything's going jing, 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 ricocheting around because I wanted to start with this other yarn. And I thought I was going to do this pattern again, but that idea had to change. So I was kind of in a bad headspace crochet wise for a couple of days because of it. And I just woke up the other day and I'm like, you know what, go find a pattern that you've done before that you know you love, and just come back to center, you know, get back to that happy space. You know, everything else is going good. I'm not saying I'm sad or depressed or anything, but sometimes you just lose your crojo, and I had that this week. So what I picked up, I'll just show you real quick. Another Annie design crochet, of course. And so here's that yarn. It's really, really gorgeous. The denim color accounts for about, 3/4 of the skein. And then the other quarter is that sort of rust, and there's little tidbits of different brown shades and some yellowish, and so I really like it. And so this is how it's working up. It's another one of those where you kind of just do your steps along the side. So I'll share more when I complete it, but I was happy to, you know, get yourself back to a good headspace with your crochet. Do something, even if it's one you've done a million times. I mean, that's kind of like that security that you need to feel. I am a good crocheter. I can do this, you know. So that's what I will be working on this week. Something else that has kind of been in my mind was working through this yarn that I've got. It's mercerized cotton, and this is by Unique by Earth Yarns, and I've had it for a couple of years now. I got 2 skeins of it. Just absolutely love the look of it. Can you see that here? I caked it up and kept trying to work with it, and I'm afraid to. It's a DK. You know, they're 275 yards each. So I've got, I think, a good amount, but I don't know, and I'm afraid to start something, and I can't find a pattern that just has that much yarn included. So, and it's a discontinued, of course, and I would like to find a solid to go, like that rusty color. I think would be really nice. But what I found, I went on to Yarn Sub. If you've ever needed to match a yarn that is discontinued, you can go out there and put the name of the yarn in, and it tells you what substitution, what yarns you can substitute for. And so this had a 99% match, and I find that it explains why it matches or why it doesn't match. And then the fact that it comes in like a 50-gram ball, whereas this is a 100-gram hank, they call that a not match. So that's the only reason that it, you know, I believe that it wasn't 100% match. But you really, you know, can zoom in, you know. So I went to the website where the best match was, and it was for Premier Afternoon Cotton, and it seems to be the most readily available as well. There were some other matches, and I looked them all up online, and when you zoom in to look at the fiber, some looked like it didn't match the twisting, or it looked a little thicker or something like that. So I am happy to have that on my radar now. I would say let me go to Joann's and see if I could find this Premier yarn, but maybe I have to go investigate, see if Michael's will carry that yet. They did have some online, obviously on the Premier website, and it was on sale for 3 skeins for $9, but then shipping was going to be $9.99. So then I'd have to buy a whole bunch, and I didn't want to go into that rabbit hole. So the only colors that I found there were this denim, this darker denim blue, and what I think would match that, and this darker purple down here. So we'll see. I'll bring this with me and go check out a Michael's and see if they have that yarn, and see if I can color match or see what I find, you know. So I wanted to share with you, I got an email. Remember, I got the Yeezy email to try out their product and review it and talk about it on my channel. I got one for this I-cord machine, and then it was like last month sometime, and I was just like, I'm really not into I-cords. Like, I want to crochet. I don't want to run a machine, you know, just wind a machine. So, you know me, I'm just on my crochet journey. So I decided to not take part in that. And this morning I got up and I saw that Tony from TL Yarn Crafts is doing a video about the very same item. So I felt like, you know, that was a good call that I said no, because look what I would have been competing with. I mean, obviously they didn't come after me. I'm nothing special. It's a fishing thing. So I moved on, but kind of like a yay, I got another sort of recognition of some sort, even if it was just for fishing. I don't care. And so I dropped my Tumbler, you guys. You know, if you know, you know. I made this Tumbler out of stickers that you guys sent to me with my Squares Request project. And I was in the kitchen. I had a glass in my hand and my Tumbler. And I put them both on the counter, and the dogs were barking crazy to go outside. So as I put them on the counter, I realized something was falling. And thank goodness it was not the glass, it was my Tumbler. So the lid is all cracked up. It's kind of sharp, and I don't want to, it's all sharp and yucky up here. And so I want to, I showed you the little crocheted circle that I made to go in my car, because the silver that's on the inside of the Tumbler reflects the sun right into my eyeball while I'm trying to drive. So I put that on there as to, you know, save my eyeballs. And I think that I want to just make the edges extend over, because it's kind of sharp on my hand and I don't want to cut myself. I don't know if I could get just new lids. You'd think I could. But so that happened. I'll have that to work on fixing, you know. Whoops. And kind of along the lines of my poor mojo or crojo from last week, I have come to terms with I am going to frog my squares out. I have the strips made, so I'm happy about keeping one strip at a time of this, but I don't like that I just went straight to another one, straight to another one. So I'm going to have 3 strips when I finish with that. And then I'll have this strip of 4. I believe that's the way I did it. I haven't looked at this in a while, you guys. It made me too sad. You know, something I wanted to love so much, and it just wasn't working out. So I think that this is all one as well. I'm not sure. I'm gonna eat up a lot of the brown yarn to, you know, snipping all the edges and undoing all the joins, but the squares themselves I will still have to be able to put back together. I just want this to be right. I don't know if you guys have seen Marley Bird. There's a shorts out there where she's talking about how putting together squares is just horrible. I don't mind it. I actually enjoy it very, very much. But what she's wearing in that video is more of what I wanted this to look like. And I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah. So I've come to terms with it. I'm happy about it because it opens up the door for, you know, this to become something that I do really love. I didn't want to just keep chipping away at something and hoping that it transforms itself, because yarn doesn't really have that life, does it? I kind of like it on the bias, but still not 3 in a row. I don't know. I'll work on that a little bit more, but at least when you're in limbo and not knowing what to do, it's bleeping hard. That's the hardest place for me to be in my crochet journey, the hardest place to be in life. Once you've come to that determination of what you're going to do, you know, taking that next step, in my opinion, has seemed like the easiest step, from being like, what am I going to do? This is what I'm going to do. Okay, go. You know, that's just where I'm at with that. So happy to make that into something better. That. And last but not least, I think we're going to say goodbye to this shirt. This is one of my first crochet shirts that I bought. And as you can see, it wasn't made very well. This is just crumbling all over the place. All the time I got little white dots everywhere. And I feel like it looks really tacky when I look back and see it in editing and stuff. So I'll probably wear it around the house, or maybe even to Walmart, who knows. But I'm not going to wear it on the channel anymore. So everybody say goodbye. We love you. That was a good shirt. I love this one. So, right, so we love this. This was a good shirt. Oh, and so my last thing I wanted to share with you is that here, again, something that I was in limbo about. I have kept I keep a book of my projects, of the pattern, of the yarn that I use, of the hook size, of where I got the pattern, you know, obviously the date that I started it, and then when I've done a video about it, or if I frogged it out. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to flip back through when I'm looking for something. So I have decided I have to sit down and type this into the computer. I have to digitalize, you know, I'm an Excel sheet person. So anything I can put into an Excel sheet and sort and decide and do columns, and that's kind of my jam. So it's not a horrible project, but it is going to be time consuming. And like right now with this that I was sharing with you that I started, I've done one before, and I wasn't about to pick up my book of, I don't know how many, 4 years I've kept that book now, and try to flip through. I mean, I used to for other things that I'd want to cross-reference with you guys and tell you about. Remember when I did this? Well, kind of the same thing, you know. So anyway, I've just got to put that into a computer spreadsheet. I've just got to. It's going to be a hit on my crocheting time, but I think it's important to my overall crocheting time. It will be so much easier to find my patterns that worked out for me. Like this last week, when I was getting so stuck about this, I could have just easily pulled up my spreadsheet and, you know, taken a look at what has worked out for me, you know, give myself some more ideas. Like I search over and over again And then I just go, I'm going to go to my go-to. All right, guys, I hope everything is going well for you. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. The yarn, how gorgeous. It's about 35, not 35, 3/4 of the denim-ish color, and then just a little bit about, you know, the other quarter is about, the other color is about the other quarter. Oh my gosh, okay. And I've got 2 of them, so I've got 275 yards, 50 yards. All right, guys, that's my video for this week. Oh, one more thing. It's right here. I don't know how I didn't say it. Okay.